I've done a warning about language already, but
Splatoon 2 is a f***ing stupid game.
Wow, this is weird with the motion controls. Oh my god. But
okay, so he's never played before.
You charge their parents for that lesson. Yeah, every time I absolutely demolish kids in a video game, I send their parents an invoice. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
There's already a disconnect. Oh no.
Oh my. Oh my god.
Yeah, so one thing that I don't like as much about the new spawn system is that your camera feels really weird as you're jumping out of it. Like, it feels like I'm straining to keep my aim exactly where I want it because I have a more limited range of motion than I'm used to. And so, like, you get used to one range of motion while you're setting your spawn point, and then it switches back to the way you normally aim as you're landing. And that's exactly what's throwing Charlie off here.
The only thing I've ever even seen from this game... Man, what the fuck?
Comically timed disconnect number 2. So that's
what battles are like, huh? Yeah. That was a lot. I didn't see a single opponent, actually, if you can believe that. For me, man.
So Charlie, I think, does end up just sticking to stick aim, unfortunately.
Gotcha, pussy.
But one of the nice things for him is that he's really used to console shooters, and so he's going to make this look a lot better than it feels for most people when they're just getting started.
Outplayed.
He's also doing a really good job of recognizing that he has to, like, aim down to paint his feet as he moves.
It's so much easier without motion controls.
It's easier because he's spent so many thousands of hours playing with dual stick. I promise you, with, like, a beginner player, like, you hand this to a 3-year-old, dual stick aiming is not a super intuitive thing. This is him coming from having played so many other video games that use that exact control scheme.
Played. Yeah, I don't know what this motion control propaganda is about. This is so much easier without it.
Yeah, and the point is that you'll suffer for about 2 weeks, but then your improvement will increase. And there's a really good argument for a player like MoistCr1tikal's to just use stick controls, because are they going to be playing this game 3 weeks from now? It's doubtful. They're a variety streamer. Their brand is based on exploring new and novel things. So there's not as much of a reason for them to learn it because they're not going to commit to the game as much. But the typical kind of expected way to play the game is to commit a lot of time to it.
I'm trying to push us through. Gotcha.
Nice. Oh, no way.
Gotcha.
No way they let him do that. It just got rolled by a dynamo, dude.
Oh! I was wondering if I could do, like, the squid roll immediately after doing that, but it doesn't seem like it. Oh, actually, you can.
That's pretty quick, actually. I've never tried that.
I've got the forbidden tech already, baby.
Are rollers doing that right now? Saw like a single tweet about it. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know how useful that would be. I'm not a brush player, and so even if I were to try it and like mess around with it, I probably wouldn't find the answer to that. But you know, that's one of the things where, sure, this is their first day ever playing Splatoon, but they're clearly a player of video games. They're clearly someone who has a mind for that sort of thing. So it's neat that they found something like that.
Gotcha.
See, that's hard to do. That's hard to do on the sticks compared to other weapons, but...
You're mine. You're mine. You're my... Oh, my... Our sniper's good. When I'm using them.
I've done a warning about language already, but,
Splatoon 2 is a fucking stupid game. It's a sequel in the way that Madden 2017 is a sequel. It's a shooting game with bad aiming. I don't know...
Shooting game with bad aiming. That's a bold claim. I see where he's coming from, because again, we've talked about how motion controls feel bad at first. And I think what Dunkey falls into a little bit in saying that is the problem of the video game reviewer. The problem that a video game reviewer faces is that they have to make a lot of video game reviews because that's their job, and like they have deadlines. Like there's a really, really strong incentive to kick them out the door pretty quickly. But video games take a long time to get through. It's a very, very time-consuming process to play a game through to completion. And Splatoon is not a game that you, like, complete. Splatoon is a multiplayer game. Multiplayer games do not have a final boss. Or if you're talking about them having a final boss, it's someone who's played the game for 12,000 hours. It takes them a really long time to make these reviews if they're going to, like, make them well and really master these kinds of games. And so these sorts of games are just not good for reviewers. What a reviewer really likes, like you think about the high volume game review sites, your typical mainstream gaming journalism kind of things. They play a lot of games in a very short amount of time, and their viewers also play a lot of different games. They're the kind of people for whom the Xbox Live Games Pass is an absolute steal, because they will play every single one of those games if they want to, but they'll play them for like 2 or 3 hours and then move on to the next one. And Splatoon is just not that kind of game. Splatoon is a game that I have like 6,000 hours in. And so it sounds really wrong for him to say that the aiming feels bad, because my aim does not feel bad when I use the motion controls, but it's going to feel that bad because the amount of time that he has to make this video is like a week or two. And in the first week or two, yeah, motion controls feel absolutely awful. I want to give Dunkey credit where credit is due here. I do not think that this is a wrong opinion based on the experiences that he's having. I just don't think he's having a complete experience of the game when he's not giving them that long of a shot.
The game solves this issue by saying, you don't really gotta shoot a guy to kill him, you just gotta shoot towards him. Congratulations.
Okay, he was actually shooting the guy, but they do have a point in that the Splattershot Jr. is specifically like one of the more inaccurate weapons, and that's why they give it to beginning players, because they paint a lot, and even if you're not aiming correctly, I mean, there's at least a small chance that those shots hit anyway.
Sonic Team. Not every.
That's also why people at lower levels tend to favor things like dualies, because you'd think, like, why do they play dualies? Like, dualies are really technically complicated, aren't they? It's because they don't dodge roll. They just stand in dual reticle mode, and as long as they are aiming at least somewhere near them, one of the reticles is probably over the top, and they're probably at least hitting some shots, which, at a low level, is more than hitting no shots, and therefore is going to be successful some of the time.
I feel like an asshole playing this. The bulk of the community is probably like 7 years old, and I'm just sitting here, a grown ass.
This is a... so, there are definitely a lot of kids who play Splatoon 2, but I think we're falling into the trap that Pixar has been doing so much work to try and undo, of feeling like, oh, bright colors and animation is just for kids. Because, like, a lot of the time, entertainment gets coded that way, where, like, you look at it and you're like, this probably isn't for me. Because, like, you don't want to go into a movie feeling like it's going to be, you know, made for you, and then realize, oh, this is something that literally only appeals to 7-year-olds. I feel dumb now. And so, like, I don't know, maybe that's a fault of Splatoon's, but, like, sometimes kid-friendly doesn't mean not adult-friendly. Sometimes there is depth there to enjoy, and, like, you know, Pixar movies, you know, animated shows like, you know, SpongeBob, Phineas and Ferb, those kinds of things that fit in adult references and stuff, like, you gotta at least give it enough of a shot to see if there is that depth. Okay, so he did actually go and watch some competitive play. Like, this is Dynamon. This is one of the geniuses behind the Japanese metagame right here.
However, no penalty for Dynamute. However, they have
He's picking at the commentary, though.
a stiff. However, Power getting splatted. However, just 4 seconds left in that penalty. However, Dynamute keeping that timer.
It's really easy to fall into traps like that. I know, as someone who's done a lot of recording myself and just, like, gone back through them and been like, oh, wait. That was just my favorite phrase that day, wasn't it? I just said that all the time and didn't even think about it.
Splatoon's aesthetic really is the highlight here. Instead of playing as a army man with a M16, you're this genetic abomination who covers the walls with glossy squid ink. You inhabit this fucking bizarro octopus world where pop star.
It's so interesting to me, like, hearing this kind of a review where he's looking at the multiplayer like, this is bad, and then he's looking at the single player like, this is amazing, this is crazy and cool and stuff. Where it's like, that is the opposite of, like, a competitive player's opinions in all likelihood. Like, because what happens is a competitive player plays this game into the ground. They've played through the single player once, and they're like, okay, that was neat. That was easy for me because I'm really good at this game. And now I'm done. And that's all there was to it. And I've defeated DJ Octavio, And so now there's nothing more for me to do in there, except maybe 1,000% it, which sounds very tedious. Or I could play against an ever-evolving, group of human beings who are getting better and better as I get better and better, and will start punishing things that I do if I do them too often, and will teach me to adapt. That sounds like a lot more fun, and like there's a lot more replay value to it. But again, game reviewer. Something that you can beat, something that is very cool and striking that happens over a few hours, like, that's what they're going to favor.
Look at the black one. Look at her fake smile. Something is wrong here.
I've always felt that way about her eyebrows. Like, she seems like she's just in some kind of pain or something.
Even if it's barely thought out, there's still no voice chat. The weapons are hopelessly unbalanced. You can no longer see the mini-map.
Hopelessly
in real
unbalanced
time,
is
like on the
a
Wii U.
strong
The spawn
take
thing
for
pretty
someone
much exclusively
who
functions as a super
was dismissive of competitive play.
side.
That was a pretty hot take that I know a lot of like Splatoon content creators responded to, and this is the follow-up on Splatoon 3, which is really interesting, I think, as a response to it.
And now that I've spent $90 on this Splatoon game, I feel like I am back on the road to redemption. Nintendo is doing a lot of big...
So, like, it's obviously a little bit sarcastic, like $90 on this Splatoon game, and it's hyperbolic. But he never actually goes out and, like, says anything directly criticizing it.
games. Splatoon 3 has the most guns of any game. Bucket, umbrella, and a third mystery gun that I haven't unlocked yet. The last time I saw a game...
Okay, so I'm guessing those are the ones that he was able to unlock, and so that's all that he's got right now.
with this many guns was Splatoon 2, which only had one. For this new...
And I think that's also a criticism that comes out of him only playing for so long before he can, make a review and stuff, because he doesn't have time to unlock everything. He doesn't have time to experience the entire game in the time that he has to make this review, and that's probably also kind of frustrating for him.
Xbox will be making no more money. No more money, Xbox. Us Nintendo fans are the good guys. Xbox is the bad guys. Watch this. Bam, you idiots! Go play Halo.
I do think console wars are truly obnoxious and painful to observe on the internet.
Load when I